Alright guys, got camp set up. It's about almost 9:30. I took my time. Doing a birthday camp for a couple days. There's a boat and the mini island out there. There's this tree, this dead one here. There's a huge pileated woodpecker. He's probably like a foot tall. Huge. I didn't know they got that big. Anyways, guy wanted to have me post a video about the stove jack on the Kodiak here. How I did it and whatnot. Well, it's really quite simple. Basically, I took the stove once I got it. That's kind of an important thing. You need to know where you want to put it and whatnot. So, a little dirty, a little wet here. Or right in was kind of rainy. But anyway, fiberglass mat here. This is a 6x8 from Harbor Freight. So that way you don't get any embers coming out. Plus it helps to protect this area of the floor where you're trafficking through a lot. Rolls up pretty small. The stove, basically what you want to do is figure out where you want it situated. You want at least, they say 2 feet. This has worked pretty good. There's about maybe 16 inches or so at the stove level or more this way. With the adjustable elbow down here, you could really orientate it a lot, however you wanted to do in different directions or whatever. Anyway, yeah, just kind of set it up. Look roughly about where you want your pipe to go through your stove jack, and then all I did was basically pin it in. So I took a pin here once I kind of figured out where I wanted it, and put a pin, safety pin, and then went through with just whatever regular pins, about 5 or 6 per each side, and kind of got it nice and in place while the tent was set up like this. And then picked up one of those speedy stitches from Walmart. Now the speedy stitch will come with 2 needles, one kind of curved one and one straight one. They're both fairly large. What I did is I got a smaller one from eBay, I think, or something. You can get a couple of them for $5 or $6. Speedy stitch isn't too inexpensive. I think it's like $16, something like that. Anyways, it comes with some waxed nylon thread or something, jute twine or something. It's pretty heavy duty. It's way too much for what you need here. In any event, I took some old braided fishing line. I don't know if this is Power Pro or some old Berkeley something. Anyways, it's probably 20 to 30 pound braid, and I punched a hole through the center of the stove jack through the tent, and then I started stitching the outside edge from the inside, right? So what you would do is you start on a corner here, and I think this is where I started, and I went a quarter inch or so, maybe a little more, 3/8 of an inch, roughly trying to keep it straight, and then I'd punch through and then do my hitch and go in and out of the tent and pass the stitcher through the hole after I cut some material through the opening here. And I went and I laced out my outside all the way around and then locked it down. And then at that point in time, what I did is I went through and did a double stitch, a second pass, where I cut this material probably, about a half an inch or so from its final edge here, but probably from this stitch maybe about an inch, and then tucked it under, and then did the same thing again. Just went through and did a little double stitch all the way around. I spaced these out a little further, maybe one of these per every 2 of these, roughly about a finger or so apart, depending. It took quite a bit of time doing it myself, going inside and outside the tent. It'd be really nice if you had a spare set of hands. You could just pass it back and forth. It'd go really quick then. But the thing works really good, and then if you got any issues with the tent, you can repair it too. So far it's been holding up really good. I've had a few rains on it and no big deal whatsoever. The whole system really rocks. Uh, don't have anything negative to say about the tent or the stove. The only thing that you want to be mindful of would be making sure your tent's dry when you put it away, of course, but I had put a little cap on the top. I actually have it over here, and what that was doing is it was choking the air once it kind of got coated with Cerakote, or you can see, and I went through and punched it out, but it pretty much plugged right up. And you can clean it, but it doesn't do any good. Maybe I'll rip the wiring out and see if it makes a difference or not. I don't think it will. I don't seem to have any issues with it the way it came, with no cap, with no spark arrestor whatsoever on there. And being that this is a open fire campsite, I don't see any issues with that. I do have some 1/8" wire mesh that I'll probably put one in and have it with the stove if need be, if it does become a problem. I would imagine even if you made a 1/2 foot to 8-10" one tall, with your mesh to fit inside the end cap there, you probably would still have to take it out, rinse it, scrub it off maybe once a day or something, depending on the wood, depending on how you're burning, of course. But yeah, really slick setup, really easy to do if you want to stitch it in yourself. I just actually put this up for the first time, kind of cool. Got a little drying rack here, right above the stove, pretty slick. I did option for the water heater, haven't used it yet. Do have the little side plate. Stove was starting to get a little bit of rust on it, so I coated it with some veggie oil. We'll see how it goes from there. I don't think it's going to be an issue. It's pretty heavy duty. Yeah, works really good. I would say go for it. I'm usually a hammock camper. Kind of try to go light. Obviously, I got a bit of gear here: axes, saws, and silver fire, and lantern, and whatnot. Camp box. But I think there are times, like it is right now, when I was coming in, it was raining pretty good. You get caught in a good storm out here, and it's nice to have this shelter. A couple weeks ago, I was just kind of sitting here, under this awning, which I threw a fiberglass, I think it's a 7-foot fishing spear, to kind of prop it up a little bit, so you can walk underneath without knocking your head out. And I'm not too tall. I'm only 5'8", but it definitely makes a little bit of a difference. Helps the water shed off. Otherwise, the water does build up. I guess that's one other negative of this little awning here. But it does provide a nice space for you to hang out without setting up a tarp. I mean, it's kind of like a little mini tarp right in front of your tent. Works really good. The only other thing I would say is if it does rain quite a bit and you have the door open, you might get a little bit of water piling up in this area here. I got some raindrops and stuff, but whoop-de-doo. If you got a stove in there, fire it up. Everything will dry off. No big deal. So, looks like my boat needs to straighten out a little bit. So, anyways, I'm gonna see what the lake looks like here. It doesn't look too bad. I might head out and try some fishing. Starting to calm down a little bit. Sun's trying to poke through a little bit, so I think it's supposed to be like this kind of today and tomorrow. Not the best conditions, but hey, as far as I can tell, I got the lake to myself, so fishing should be pretty good. Anyways, maybe I'll be back when I get a fish hooked up. Later, guys.